With everything that's happening in the world at the moment, it's always important when you're working on classified and sort of protected and important either frameworks or projects that you have the right clearances and the people and companies that you have working on those projects are trusted. And one way to build that trust and know that your data is going to be safe is to have security clearances. What clearances are there? How do you get them? Do they appear out of thin air, or does somebody actually have to do all the donkey work in the background to make it possible? Welcome to the briefing room. Hello and welcome to the briefing room. The first episode of 2026 is 2026. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2026, and this episode is all about security clearances and demystifying different levels of security clearances. My guest today is Georgie. Do you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, I would love to. So my name's Georgie Henderson. I've been at CDS Defence and Security for 4 years next month. Came in as security administrator, was later appointed deputy security controller, and now I am security controller. Thank you. Thank you.
My first question would be, what does a security controller do? But what are security clearances? From my point of view, I joined the company.
Yeah.
A couple of months later, I got told by my manager, you are SC cleared now. And I was like, awesome, thanks. Don't know what that means. I got a different colour badge. What are security clearances?
So in short, and please feel free to stop me in my tracks because I do have a tendency to talk as if people know all the things about security that I know.
We can have a longer one, and then I'll ask you to narrow it down to 60 seconds. So this is the warm-up.
Got your stopwatch. It's a way of ensuring that the people we're employing to work on government assets or information, secure sites, secure areas, such as we have here, that they have a level of integrity. Okay. It's a background check, really, so it makes sure that you don't have ties to foreign intelligence services. That would be sort of a big red flag to someone that's going to come in and see sensitive government information. Making sure that you are, not a hard user of drugs and alcohol. I know a lot of it is a lifestyle check as well. At the same time, we're not judging lifestyles. We're not here to catch you out. We are here to sort of assist you in your role and responsibilities that come with that.
Okay.
Ensuring there's a safety net for government.
Okay, so that was quite quick, but can you do it in 60 seconds of maybe...
That's me being like, there's a clock in my head. I'm under pressure. Under pressure. Security clearance in layman's terms is not dissimilar to a DBS. Most of us know what a basic DBS is. It's a check whereby we are looking to see that the person for which we are obtaining the clearance is able to, be trustworthy enough to work on secure sites and secure areas, have information passed to them or by them that is sensitive government information, basically. Okay.
So everyone here, to my knowledge, has some form of clearance.
Yes.
Until now, most of us probably didn't know what actually goes behind the scenes. So say when I joined the company, what would have happened? Do I have to give you any information, or what sort of information do you work off of?
So given that we're in the defence industry, we would start you with, same as any other company really, in any other sector, you would start with a BPSS check, which is the sort of government equivalent then of a basic right to work check. That stands for Baseline Personnel Security Standard. That really tested me then, I had to think about that. And it includes, but isn't limited to, identification checks, employment history checks and referencing, and a criminal convictions check as well. Okay. So that's sort of what you would come in on, because we do have close ties to government as a company and in the industry. Once you have received your BPSS, once completion is in, we then go on to look to, okay, what are the role requirements for this person in this position? do they require a national security vetting, so SC or DV, which again I will explain in further detail later on, or are we just going down the DBS route? So it depends on the role requirements, what you might have access to, where you might need to go and visit. We don't sort of overcompensate. We wouldn't give you the highest level of clearance if it wasn't necessary. They are all what is necessary. We don't need to waste resources.
Okay. So you've touched on it a bit there with my next question. So why do we need security clearance in the first place? Mm-hmm. That, I imagine, is we know that person A and person B that come into the company, mm-hmm. we can trust person A because he's got some form of clearance.
Yeah.
That they can be trusted with some form of information on a project. Mm-hmm. How many types of clearances are there then? I thought it was just like SC and then DV.
Well, so
one's above it.
BPSS is not a formal clearance.
Okay.
It's just, like I say, it's the government working basic right to work. Okay. If you're looking at United Kingdom security vetting, they have for, say, contractors of the MOD, they would have 3 main levels. So you'd start at the CTC, which is counter-terrorism check. The next one up is SC, that stands for security check, and then finally DV, which is developed vetting. Okay. And developed it is.
Is there anything above DV in the UK or?
So not for contractors, generally speaking, but you can get an enhanced SC and an enhanced DV.
Okay.
That's sort of, my understanding is it's almost like a top-up from your existing MOD clearance. So if you have an existing SC and then you're put forward through another agency for an enhanced SC, they will take some of the information used during your SC process and just give you an enhanced SC with further checks.
Okay. What would happen if there wasn't any clearances? If clearances didn't exist, what would happen?
I mean, you can only imagine, really, but it would pose a significant risk. We all know that things happen while there actually are security clearances in place in the UK. Yeah. We know that people are in breach of security and have broken national security laws whilst having high-level clearances. Without them, that would make accessing sensitive information that much easier. We would be exposing the entire sort of infrastructure of national security in the UK.
It makes cyber attacks a lot easier.
Cyber attacks, data leaks, insider threat. So anybody could then sort of waltz into our company and say, "Yeah, I've been a good boy or a good girl my whole life." And you think, right, lovely, okay, come in and have a look at this, which is like marked secret, and you don't know who they're then passing that information on to. Now, what the clearance checks do is they do look at your connections. Okay. Depending on the level of clearance, they'll look at your connections, and if you have, regular communications with someone who is high up in a foreign intelligence service, for example, and some interesting looking deposits into your bank account once a month, eyebrows will be raised. So
is that for all of them, or is that just for like DV, or is that even SC as well?
I mean, SC does include a financial check, a financial questionnaire, but the DV is they dive deep for the DV.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I imagine later on we'll be diving into what actually some myths and sort of stuff behind DV clearance, or have you a mixture of things?
There are a lot. People? Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And like I say, I say to everyone within DS, I don't think any question is a stupid question when it comes to security. You can't be too safe. Yeah. A risk is a risk, and unfortunately, the impact of the risk in this sort of line of work, I'll go again. The stakes are high with what we work on and what we do. So the risk might be small, but anything happening that could be catastrophic, and it's a threat to not just the lives of you and I, but a wider, it's huge loss of lives as well. Just not to freak you out,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's why we work, and that's why it's so rigid. That's why these checks are so intense, because they need to be. It's minimising risk and ensuring
For a little bit,
practices are good enough
a little
that
bit of an inconvenience at the start with the person going through it, you are ensuring that later on.
absolutely, yeah, it's a
dampens
bit
the
of
risk.
extra work, and I know that it can be, you know, for a DV, for example, that's once every 7 years, and then you have an annual security appraisal that you do. It takes minutes, the annual
Right.
security appraisal. Yes, the DV it's a lot of work, but it pays off, and we're all working towards the same bigger picture and the same purpose. It's worth it. I wouldn't, like I say, I wouldn't initiate someone for a DV unless their role required it and it was necessary.
2 smaller questions that aren't on the script.
Yep.
Is there a monetary cost to getting someone DV cleared or SC cleared or putting someone through clearance?
Yes. So there's a cost to anything
Okay.
to do with, you know, a lot of work goes into it. It's not just initiated by someone like myself.
Yeah.
It's all the background checks that are done externally, the time that it's taken, the resources that they may need to utilise as well to get those checks completed. There is a cost. It may not come directly to your company, but there is a cost that you know, is covered.
Yeah, it was just something in my head. I didn't know if it was like, if you putting someone forward for DV clearance, maybe one of the reasons we're looking to see if this person needs to have DV clearance on some of the projects is that if it costs like $1,000 or $2,000 per time putting someone through.
Yeah, I mean, it would be very expensive.
Yeah.
But given what I know about this company, it's a cost that we would be willing to bear for the sake of, like I say, the bigger picture and the purpose that we're keeping the country, helping to keep the country safe.
And then you touched on, before the financial bit, you said there was seeing who you've had contact with and sort of people you liaise with. And so my wife used to work for the MOJ, and she had went through some vetting and some checks, and I think she had SC. Would that then, because being in the same household and being a partner, would I have then come up on her check? So when you had to put me forward for SC, would I have already been in the database somewhere and pre-existing, or would it be no, and you're still from scratch?
Potentially. I mean, the checks that I do or would initiate as your security controller would be you would have your own account and application set up. If that is then passed to a vetting team externally and they look into their system and say, oh, we've actually seen this person before, his wife has this level of clearance, and I don't know if that stands you in better stead. They still obviously need to do the same.
Yeah, I didn't know if
checks.
I didn't know if it'd be like quicker than somebody who's just going from scratch. I didn't know if it'd be like.
I mean, if you had a clearance, say 5 years ago, and it had lapsed, then yes, you'd still be on their system as somebody that has held a clearance before. They would need to again run the checks because you're likely to have had changes to your personal circumstances. But yeah, to be honest, that is a question that I wouldn't know for sure. It might be that you're on their system, but you'd be on the system as a clearance holder's husband, as opposed to a subject of theirs, a clearance holder. Obviously, up until you obtain your own clearance.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, that's something that I wouldn't be able to say for sure.
I've got common myths around DV clearances and sort of either misconceptions or sort of rumours of how deep they go. SC compared to DV, what is that sort of jump like? Because some people are a bit reluctant to get DV,
Yeah.
whereas there's other people who are like, everyone in the team should be DV. What is the difference between them and sort of how much more work is put into it?
Well, like I say, the DV should really only be used if the role requires that level of clearance.
Yeah.
The in terms of the application, the difference in the application, an SC is sort of what I would call a really beefy DBS for government.
Right, okay.
And then the DV is sort of topped up from the SC.
Okay.
So SC would go through things that the BPSS would go through. In order to obtain or even apply for an SC as the sponsor, I need to have done a BPSS check beforehand, so that saves them some time.
Okay.
They will then want to know some of your personal details. If you do have foreign connections. With the DV, then they will try to obtain references. So it could be that they want a character reference and an employment reference. They will interview you, and that interview can be as quick as an hour or so, or it can last half a day, depending on how many skeletons you have in your closet.
Okay.
But anyone I've encountered at the UKSV sort of office then, or HQ, they've all been really friendly. I've never heard of a bad experience with an interviewer. And then on top of that as well, the financial questionnaire is much more detailed, so they require a lot more information. But again, there's a lot more at stake, because if you're requiring a DV, the information, assets or areas that you are expected to need access to are such that if those got into the wrong hands, it would be very bad. For want of a better term, that would be, catastrophic again. Yeah. It could be a huge threat to the UK. So the SC is awarded for 10 years.
Right, okay.
For full-time employees. If you're a contractor, they'll award it for 5 years.
Does that then, not saying I'm leaving, but if I were next week to go to another company, would that clearance come with me, or would that just be solely for if I worked here at this company? So
that's a good question, actually, because that's something I'm asked probably more often than anything else. On your last day of employment, I would lapse your clearance.
Right, okay.
It then will sit in a lapsed state, and this is providing that it's not due to expire in that time, but it will sit in a lapsed state for 12 months, during those 12 months then, the company that you're going to, should they need to obtain holding authority of your clearance, they can transfer it in.
Right, okay.
Once it reaches that 12-month mark, it will lapse and fully expire then. If, say, for example, you're leaving next week, your clearance is due to expire in October this year, it will remain lapsed until it expires.
Okay.
But after that point, it won't be able to be transferred in by another company.
So do you get questions from people before they decide to leave?
Yeah.
And
I normally have a heads up on who's going.
Oh, right, okay.
So I'll have that question, and then a couple of weeks later I'll get an offboarding notification, and I'm like, damn, I should have said no. You can't have a clearance anywhere else.
So if you don't mind me throwing a couple of myths or sort of rumours your way.
Don't mind, it's fine.
One of them is DV. Do they interview your family members and friends, or do they look into your family members and friends?
So yes, they will.
Not just yourself.
Yeah, they will do. They will ask for sort of immediate family and your spouse or partner that you're cohabiting with. Any children that you have might. I mean, I think there's actually an age. Maybe if they're under 16, they don't need to know. They just want to know, have you got children? Maybe not the details. It's been a while since I've done it, so bear with me. But yeah, they will look into your partner's immediate relatives.
Okay. Are they looking for like financial things as well, or just
financial things? Maybe if they've been in some extremist groups.
Right,
and I know that sounds a lot, but these are things that we have to check. Say, for example, I married someone who was once overseas in a terrorism organisation. UKSV are going to want to know about that, understandably. And similarly, if I'd married someone who has been good as gold, define good as gold, that probably isn't the right term, but you know what I mean. then they'll be like, cool, check the box, and your DV is likely to come back sooner because there aren't further risks and checks that need to be done.
Okay.
So they're unlikely to interview relatives unless you provide a relative as a character reference. But again, it's been a while since I've done it. I'm unsure if you're actually allowed to do that. They'll look for your parents, whether they're still alive or not, and through blood or marriage.
Okay.
Step siblings, half siblings, they'll need all of that. And it's not necessarily like we want to reach out to your stepbrother that you never speak to.
Yeah.
It's more a case of, is said stepbrother a threat to national security? Do you speak to them on a weekly basis?
Right, okay.
Has this person maybe tried to, is this person going to be an insider threat and you're trying to come to the company to leak information? Is there sort of malicious intent? It's all these things that we don't, us coming into the company, we think, cool, check, part of the onboarding process. And once it's done, you've got it. But there's a reason behind every single step in the process. And that reason ultimately always feeds back to the main reason of we want to ensure the safety of the country.
So you mentioned earlier about SC is good for sort of like 10 years.
Yes.
If anything, how regularly is that sort of updated or checked up, or your details, like your financial details?
So it's a good question.
Are they updated regularly, or is it every 10 years? Because something could majorly change.
Well, yes, yeah, it could. So when we receive a notification that the clearance is complete, so say for example, then I have an email through, and it says. It doesn't say congratulations, it'd be nice if it did. Congratulations, Karl Rees has obtained an SC for 10 years. Here's the issue date, here's the expiry date, here's whatever else you might need. I suppose onus is on me to firstly inform you that you've obtained security clearances. I then need to explain your responsibilities, which will be ongoing throughout the entire duration of you holding that clearance. I suppose I act as a person of, if you do have any questions in, say, a year's time, you come to me. But part of what I am supposed to and try to educate new clearance holders on is that there is an element of aftercare that comes with clearances. And just because the DV has a security appraisal form once a year and the SC doesn't, it doesn't mean that the sponsoring authority, the powers that be, don't need to know of any changes to your personal circumstances. Okay. So once I receive that clearance for you, I will email you and say, you've got your clearance, blah, blah, blah. You need to do X, Y, Z. We expect that from you. We expect to hear when you need this or when you're doing that. Again, I'm there to support. I'm not there to catch anyone out. And finally, one of the things I would say is if you have any major changes to your personal circumstances, whether that be who you live with, your financial circumstances.
I was going to ask if this little bit then be for mainly the people inside our company, but if anyone who I didn't know, I would have to come to yourself to sort of say if anything happened outside of work or like my lifestyle change. So for anyone inside CDS then, the CDSDS, what would be the things that they would have to come to you with saying, oh, well, this has changed?
Well, you must have obtained your clearance before I joined because I would have told you that. I do my job.
Well, I've been here nearly 7 years now, so
I've been 4, so wasn't me. I don't expect details. What I ask for is that if there's any uncertainty or something has happened of, notable difference then in your life that you think, I don't know whether I should or not, you can come to me with the details if you want to. It was strict confidence, and I can guide you from there. If you'd rather not tell me exactly what it is, just say, I think I might need to do a change of personal circumstances form to submit to the external holding sponsoring authority, and I just send the link. Now, if I send the link and you look at the form online and there's no option for what you're wanting to update them on, then maybe you don't need to.
Okay.
If you think, well, it's not on the form, but I really should tell someone, I can give you an email address or a phone number. I think with any clearance, it's all about transparency. There's no sort of threshold, whether that's minimum or maximum in terms of financial changes, and they do say that it is subjective, because what might be a lot of money to you might be, it's probably the wrong way around, might be a huge amount of money to me because, it is subjective, but it's anything that, this is the thing with security controllers and government organisations, we put a lot of trust and faith in our subjects, as we call them, our people. We put a lot of faith in people's common sense as well. So, because if you can obtain a clearance, you clearly have some level of, intellect that allows you to maybe differentiate between they don't need to hear about this, and this is a big enough change that they do need to hear about it. Okay. Like I say, I'm not there to be nosy. I don't need details. It's always in confidence. If somebody wants to talk to me about anything, they can. I would just like to say, however, sort of a caveat to that is that if I think that's a threat to national security or in breach of security, it is my job to report it. But that, again, that's like very rare, few and far between that sort of thing happens.
I've heard a myth about, well, it might not be a myth, it might be factual, but if I've got a DV clearance and I want to go on a holiday and it's a cruise and it goes multiple stops, are there any countries I'm not allowed to go to? Or maybe not allowed, but I've heard some people go, oh, you can't visit that country if you've got DV because you'll be in a holding cell for like a week and you'll miss your cruise.
Well, I'd say they might be watching too many movies.
Right, okay.
But it is a risk.
Okay.
It is a risk, yes. So,
have you got like a list then?
There
of
is a
countries
list.
There is a list.
Yeah, it's not one that I've created. It's one that I have been sent, and anyone in my position should have sight and knowledge of.
Right, okay.
For clearance holders, there are two types of two lists then of restricted nations. Right. Now that list in itself is classified.
Oh, okay.
If I could send it out to everybody, it would make my life a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because I have, in security, you do have to don many hats at different times. I have recently become a travel agent with the amount of restrictions that we've put in place, which is fine, like I say, because I am there to help. But I would always advise, some of them are obvious. If there's ongoing conflict, maybe don't go there.
It was. I think I was chatting to someone, and they said their cruise. It started off by going either to China or Hong Kong or something, and it was only for like a stopover.
Yes.
It was to get to the other ship or something.
Yeah.
But that would have implicated.
It still applies.
Him being over there.
Yeah. Port stops and
that whole cruise he couldn't do because the first stop was there.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think about before then, but I didn't know if there was like a no-no list of. I know
definitely a no-no list.
I know there's certain countries in the world you probably shouldn't go gallivanting in, but
so there are separate levels to it. Yeah. So if you think of it as one list, then of an entire list of restricted nations, some locations being more serious, more of a risk than others. Now, as security controller, it would be down to me to provide written consent and I was going to say lecture. It's not a lecture, so please feel free to come to me if you need to for a briefing. Just about the risks of going to that country. I will probably almost always advise that unless it's absolutely necessary, don't go. Okay. But I'm not gonna be able to stop people. And the big no-nos, if we put it lightly, then. Because I don't want to discuss the list in too much detail because it is classified, but the big higher risk nations then, or territories, we say if you are going to travel there, it is usually on extreme compassionate grounds.
Right, okay.
And again, you are required to obtain prior written consent from your security controller.
Yeah.
And a briefing, and that briefing is basically it's for your safety above anything else. So
first of all, my first little question would be, when you give these briefings, do you dress up in a TUI outfit and sort of like, be like
my cravat,
yeah.
Not always TUI, sometimes Emirates.
Welcome to this territory. Here's everything you need to know about the local area.
Yeah.
My second one would be...
It's not unlike that though, but it's just in a national security sort of sense and the aspects of holding a clearance and travelling with one.
How would these territories or countries know that you're DV cleared? How would they know that you are a security cleared person and be a person of interest, that they would maybe want to ask you a few questions on your stop there? How would they know? Are you, like, if you go through clearance, are you on then the government's list, and then
does it beep when you get your passport scanned or something?
Yeah, so do they know you've been through a certain amount of checks, so you must be a person of interest of some kind?
You'd like to think, unless it was an allied nation, that no, they don't know. However,
I just got Mission Impossible in my head now, and James Bond. It's just like they're constantly looking for you, or someone of interest has popped up on our map.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, sometimes it might be. However, I think that is more of a risk when you are looking at public figures as opposed to. But then you never know, because the biggest risk to security is people. The biggest threat to national security is insider threat. So you have things like espionage, like I mentioned earlier, and it could be that somebody has leaked data for an entire company to foreign intelligence services in, let's use your example earlier, China, for example, then. And maybe border control have that list. And as soon as a person of that name comes through their border, it's going to flag up, and they're going to say, right, you don't like to think about it. It's probably extremely rare, but at the same time, because there's a tiny element of risk, it's something that we do have to mitigate and educate our clearance subjects on. And like I say, it's for your safety as much as the interest of the UK, and that is why we, generally speaking, say, unless you really, really, really need to, do not go to these places. However, if you go into, like I say, there's prior written consent, the briefing, and also just knowing who to contact should you have any suspicions, concerns, anything like that. Like I say to people when I give the briefing at the end, this is not a formal part of the briefing, but I say, if you want my telephone number and you need to call me, if you want to give me your itinerary, that I know when you're stopping where, and I can check in with you. And I really have become the Mother Teresa of security and travel.
Would you say then the risks are more for DV clearance rather than SC then?
I would say simply because of what a DV allows you access to. That's always going to be preferred to foreign intelligence. That person's got a DV, they have access to top secret information, unsupervised top secret information. That's really the only difference between SC and DV. Is with a DV you can have uncontrolled, unsupervised and unrestricted access to high level stuff. With an SC you can have that access, but you need to be supervised. That is the only, in terms of access, that's the only difference. Obviously, it depends on which site you're travelling. Some companies have their own policies in place, and they might say, well, you're not coming into this area unless you have a DV, even though they don't have high level or highly protectively marked, high classified stuff in there. That's their prerogative, But yeah, the assumption would be, I can only presume because I'm not a foreign intelligence agent.
So you say.
Or I've jumped many hurdles. If I am, I'm doing really well. So they are going to want to go for the people that are likely to have access to the most sensitive information.
If you are a foreign national, or you were born in sort of another country, but now you've got dual citizenship, or for whatever reason you were born here and spent like 10 years abroad and then came back, the information then for either when you were born there or lived there for a few years, is that then between our government, and does it go to their government as well, or is it just based on the information you give them?
So that would be part of a residency waiver.
Right.
The information that they would request would include, yes, local checks, local criminal checks,
Okay.
References, proof of address,
Okay.
anything. It's basically a foreign BPSS that they want you to obtain through agencies overseas.
Right.
And you just provide that further documentary evidence to help your case along.
Okay.
What they ask for alongside that from us, the people that are trying to obtain the clearance for you, would be a business case.
Okay.
Is this person the only person that can do this job? Do they absolutely need to have this level of clearance? Different factors obviously come into it. And, you know, as a company, we employ people because they do have a set amount of, they have a niche set of skills then.
Okay.
And the business case is always, yes, we want that person. That's why we've asked them to come to us. That's why we've employed them. We want them, we need them, we trust them. The next step is for you to do this check. Please, can you provide the residency waiver, blah, blah, blah. But like I say, further checks do need to be done. They don't always say yes to a residency waiver.
All right.
But yeah, it's certainly not a barrier. It's not a barrier. It's just an extra hurdle to be jumped.
Okay. And then, is this an expected when you work in the world of defence, or if you want to work with a company that's in defence and works with the MOD, and you might be an external company that's your bread and butter isn't in defence, and you get brought onto certain contracts or contract of work, is this something that's just expected, that you expected to have security clearance? Or
I would say,
I was thinking, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm imagining our company, our bread and butter is in defence,
yeah,
a high percentage of our employees would be at least SC or maybe DV. Sort of
absolutely,
clear.
yeah. I mean, our job descriptions for almost any role within the company is that, you know, the prerequisite then to employment is, are you going to be able to achieve a national security clearance, or do you think you would be able to? It's sort of a given to an extent, I would say, particularly from those who are coming from other areas of the defence industry or even civil service. For me, I came from a kitchen. So I was a chef, and I had I didn't even know what an SC or a DV meant. I had no idea. Everybody spoke in like shorthand. And I was like, right, all these acronyms, I don't know what they are. And all I wanted at that time was to be able to just speak like the rest of you in a way that was, I understood and I was fairly knowledgeable. Obviously, I went through a lot of training to get to that point. But coming from my background, it wasn't common knowledge that, okay, I'm going to need a clearance here. I thought maybe a DBS. People who have, like I say, they've come from similar roles, companies, for them, I imagine it's, right, here we go. I've got a clearance. Do you want to transfer it in? Or they'll come to me and say, can you request a transfer because I had one at my other company? But like I say, it is in the job descriptions, dependent on the role, obviously. If they do require a clearance, it's something that we think is only fair to make people aware that that's what we are going to expect. And that's what we're going to attempt to achieve, obtain even.
Just finishing off on the myths and stuff then, is there any myths or about the clearances that you want to sprung to mind that you want to just like
I would,
put in the ground now?
yes, mainly to give people peace of mind. I think, and I am going to speak somewhat informally now. I've been on work social events before with people, and feel like maybe they've held back in terms of having fun. Now, fun again is subjective. There's an element of, we're out on a work social, you do need to maintain a level of professionalism. Says me. Says me, the MC. And I don't want people to feel like they can't enjoy themselves because there is a member of the security team present. I think a lot of the time people think, okay, now I've got a high level clearance, I need to be super boring. No, and it doesn't mean you can't go out with your mates on a Friday night and have a few beers. It doesn't mean that you can't go to a football match and maybe chant a little bit without causing an absolute scene. You can still, do the things you were doing prior to obtaining your clearance, because these things have been checked, and if you've been transparent with your vetting agent during your interview, they know all of these things anyway. They still gave you the clearance. So go to the pub on a Friday, have you don't constantly in moderation, have your beers. Exactly. It's not like that. I mean,
let your hair down, guys.
Let your hair down to an extent. Yeah, do so. And this is the mother in me speaking now, but do so safely and sensibly, in the knowledge that you can still, if you're young, you can still go out and have fun with your mates. Just remember though that with your role and with the clearance that you're holding, it's a huge responsibility. And yes, we expect certain behaviours, certain levels of transparency then, but don't restrict yourself completely. We're restricted enough in life. So yeah, but I don't want that to sound like I'm encouraging. I think that some of our youngsters and the world of national security and clearances and all that is frightening to them. And like I say, I'm not there to frighten people. I show my face in the office because I welcome questions. You need to be a people person, because if somebody's frightened to tell you of something that is, we're humans, we're not infallible. We're not robots. That, mind you, even robots probably make mistakes. But I want people to be able to feel like they could come to me with anything, and the sooner we identify the mishap or the breach or the mistake, the sooner we can deal with it, and the risk is then mitigated, reduced, hopefully stopped in its tracks.
But your position then, is there a security controller in every company, or is it
no?
And is it just the one of you in this company at the moment?
We're expanding as a company, so the need for a team is becoming more and more. Such that I have very fortunately, I have been appointed a deputy. Mandy Uyghur, I hope she won't absolutely be displeased with me for mentioning her name. She's incredible. She's very proactive, quick learner, everything you'd want in a deputy security controller. And whereas I'm sort of the blabbermouth face of security, Mandy will do all the clogs that you see turning, all the hard work that goes into it is just as much Mandy as it is me. And she's been doing it for a much shorter amount of time, but she's just picked things up like that. We are very fortunate in Defence and Security, as in CDS, that we have been given the accreditations that are necessary for us to have a security team and be able to do the majority of our security work ourselves, in-house, internally. Of course, that comes with a lot more work, but we're also in a position where if we are in partnership with other companies, and in order to really help grow that professional relationship that we have between ourselves and, say, clients or partners, we're in a position that we can provide advice and guidance should they wish to go down that route of maybe holding clearances themselves. Now, again, I really don't want to delve into too much detail, but you have separate sort of certifications then. You have one for your physical security, which are the two main branches of security I work in, physical and personnel. Physical security, is one certification or accreditation. Personnel is a separate one. We are seeing more and more, I don't know if it's maybe startups, but certainly very, very experienced people in companies that do not have a security officer or controller. They do not have the right accreditations. And that's not because they haven't been able to obtain them. It's just because it's something they're working towards.
Yeah.
We're in a position where, and you know what we're like as a company. We're a family-run company. We're always going to help our partners and clients, associates and such. We can provide a level of consultancy, support, guidance, help, assistance, whatever it might be. We have held that position for so long that we can, and this goes back to, it's not all about, it's commercially sensitive because there are competitors everywhere.
Yeah.
We all in the defence industry are working towards the same goal. And if part of ensuring the country is safe and our systems, processes are secure, is to help out other companies, that's absolutely what we're going to do. We are in a position where we can hold clearances for an associate pool.
Right.
Other companies might come to us and say, hey, we'd like to work on this project with you, but we don't have anyone to help with clearance stuff or security, educating.
So you're essentially basically like a service then that we can offer.
I am a service.
I don't want that to come across as like a sales pitch as well.
I'm not a sales rep at all.
I know we can sort of feel a bit like a salesy sort of like, oh, so we do this, do we?
Yeah.
So our company can do that, but
we're not doing it for our gain though. That's leads back to what I say about the main goal for all of us. Is it's not. There's no commercial. The commercial gain for us is not. That is absolutely in the background. That is probably the last thought, especially for me. I want to help my peers and other security professionals. I know what it's like to be in a position where you need support on something. Yeah. And I've been very fortunate in that I've gone to a friend very high up in security at ADS Group, who was an absolute just like person of all knowledge, all things security. Right. And so if I can then pass on some of that knowledge, guidance, support to someone else for whatever they may need, I'm going to do that.
That sort of brings me on just my last question, which is, what do you see as the future of security clearances? Are there any changes you think are going to be made, or?
Yes, I do think, and I know there was talk not so long ago about changing the names of the various clearance levels from say DV to level 3, for example. Okay. I haven't seen that change yet, so I don't know if that's still on the horizon. But I know that the SAF procedure is about to change, so that's the security appraisal form for DV holders. Currently, those are initiated by your security officer or security controller. Going forward, and I think by the end of 2026, this will apply to MOD contractors as well. The responsibility is on the clearance holder, so you will initiate your own appraisal form, send it to your own line manager, and I, as a security controller, will just receive notification once that's been done. Yeah. Aside from that, I see, I think we are in a constant battle with what's secure and what's in keeping with advancements in technology. We don't want to be left behind because because there are so many benefits to, I suppose everybody talks about AI these days, but there are so many benefits to it. And I'm seeing more and more things now being utilised by technology, artificial intelligence, and there are a lot of benefits to it. Like anything, it comes with risks. So I think a lot of things are going to be more automated in the future. You're always going to need an element of human checks. There are some things that you can't rely on technology for. Yeah. But I do see that happening. Changes internally, which will only really be for those listening that actually work for the company. If everybody isn't tired of listening to me speak by now, in the next month or so, I will be hosting security lunch and learns.
Okay.
Because everything that we've discussed is all well and good, and I talk about the responsibilities of the clearance holder, but it's not your responsibility to just know that. It's my responsibility to educate you. And so it's almost like we're a pair or a team then for your clearance. We have to work together. That sounds really cheesy, I know, but teamwork, bro. There's no I in team. Let's get match fit. So yeah, like I say, it's my job to educate and make sure that you're in the know with updates that are essential for your roles.
Well, hopefully, everyone inside the company will watch this podcast all the way through.
If you don't, I'm going to report you.
So all the way to this section where it's giving you a glimpse into the future, and everyone hopefully will know a little bit more about security clearances, and then hopefully with that, and then your sort of lunch and learns and everything, everyone will, not have those sort of little questions that they're a bit too embarrassed to ask, because they might think it's a little bit silly, like everyone should know it.
Yeah, I'd rather 100 questions than 100 mistakes, because mistakes in security can be very damaging.
Yes. And that's another briefing complete. It sounds really cheesy coming out of my mouth.
No, it doesn't. I must say that one was my favourite, and it's the only one I'm going to watch. I'm joking. I'm only joking. There are things there that I've rambled on about. You may get comments of, that's not actually accurate, but I've just put it in my day-to-day as I know it.
It'll help the comment section anyway.
Thank you for having me.
That's all right. Thank you for coming on. And if you watched all the way to the end, then if you can give a like, subscribe, send to 5 friends or 5 work colleagues, and if you like this, I've got there'll be like 2 little videos here of something that the algorithm will say you should watch next. So I'll just give you about 10 seconds to click on the algorithm.
Al Gore.
Is that 10 seconds yet? 3, 2, 1, and done.